Hello, a warm welcome to all of you. It's my pleasure to have you all, and thanks for taking time to attend this session. I'm grateful to the organizers of the week on intellectual property, public interest, and COVID-19 for providing me this opportunity to present my research on why Costa Rica's proposal for the creation of a global pooling mechanism deserves special consideration. Uh, can you hear me? Okay. My name is Mohammad Zahir Abbas. I'm from Pakistan. Currently, I'm working as a senior research assistant at Faculty of Law, Queensland University of Technology. First of all, I would like to acknowledge that the paper I'm presenting in this session has been published in Volume 7, issue number 1 of the Journal of Law and the Biosciences. It was published back in June 2020. Okay. So, what is Costa Rica's proposal for a global pooling mechanism? On March 23, 2020, in the context of fast spreading COVID-19 pandemic, the Costa Rican President Carlos and Health Minister Daniel submitted a proposal to Dr. Tedros, the Director General of the World Health Organization, for the creation of a global pooling mechanism. Costa Rica proposed that the suggested repository or pool should include existing and future rights in patented inventions and designs, as well as rights in regulatory test data, know-how, cell lines, copyright, and blueprints for manufacturing diagnostic tests, devices, drugs, and vaccines. The global IP pooling mechanism, Costa Rica further proposed that the global pooling mechanism should provide free access or licensing on reasonable and affordable terms in every member country. In its proposal, Costa Rica urged the WHO to develop an initial uh, memorandum of understanding on the intent to share rights in technologies funded by the public sector and other relevant sectors, and to reach out to WHO member states, nonprofit institutions, industry, and others to sign such an MOU. On May 29, at a digital event, the WHO and Costa Rica officially launched the platform. 37 countries, including the Netherlands, Malaysia, and South Africa, and multiple international partners and institutions signed up to support this initiative officially, and called the COVID-19 Technology Access Pool, or CTAP. So first of all, what does CTAP do? According to WHO press release, the platform pools data, knowledge, and intellectual property for existing or new COVID-19 health products, deliver global public goods for all people and all countries. This platform will somehow share science and data and hence support participation of companies to access information they need to produce the technologies to enhance scaling up availability worldwide. And of course, uh, the premise is that the cost will decrease and hence access will increase as a result of this initiative. CTAP is a sister. What is CTAP built on? Uh, CTAP is a sister initiative to the Access to COVID-19 Tools ACT Accelerator and other ongoing initiatives. Instead of creating new structures, CTAP is built on the already existing Medicines Patent Pool, MPP, a UN mechanism funded by UNITAD, which pools voluntary released patents for essential medicines and then sublicenses these patents to generic manufacturers. In addition to MPP, the other implementing partners of CTAP include Open COVID Pledge, Tech Access Partnership, and UNITAD. Why CTAP deserves serious attention? This is the main focus of my presentation. I will focus on 4 points. Number one, patent law presents barriers to urgent development as well as affordability and scale manufacturing of COVID vaccines. Number two, hoarding of know-how, manufacturing know-how presents similar challenges. Number three, CTAP is based on the values of social solidarity, international cooperation, and shared responsibility. Number four, the conflicting or opposite approach of vaccine nationalism has serious implications. I will discuss these implications in later slides. Number one, patent law poses hurdles. Because of its winner take all rationale, patent law presents barriers to urgent development of needed health technologies by disincentivizing the timely disclosure of useful results. Patent law discourages the sharing of unpatentable insights that may potentially lead to patentable treatments with further work. So, the very basic principle in patenting is that you have to keep your invention secret unless it's ready to go and you are ready to file the patent application. So, because of that secrecy, it poses a hurdle to urgent development of vaccines in the current scenario. Number two, and more importantly, the exclusive rights granted to patent owners negatively impact the affordable and universal supply of innovative health technologies by allowing supra competitive pricing and by imposing restrictions on massive scale manufacturing across the globe. Because the patent holders, they enjoy exclusive rights or monopolies. They use those monopolies to artificially control the supply and to raise the price. So this is the most important, the most notable challenge posed by patent monopolies to the access to the COVID-19 vaccine. Number two, hoarding of know-how. This issue was addressed in the Costa Rica proposal that corporations and manufacturers should share the data, testing data, and manufacturing know-how. So, why this is important? Manufacturing know-how and test data information is normally kept secret by corporations. The manufacturing know-how and data information should be shared widely in a pandemic situation. There is no room for business as usual. It is important to note that the absence of patents does not mean the absence of control. Holding know-how as trade secrets is another form of monopoly which can be hurdle in scaling up manufacturing of COVID-19 vaccines. Unlike pharmaceutical drugs, which are easy to copy or reverse engineer, vaccines are complicated biological materials. Generic manufacturers won't be able to do much unless brand name companies openly share technology know-how and data. So this is really important. Normally the focus is on patents and all the debate revolves around patents, but trade secrets are know-how is equally important because it can empower the corporations to control the supply and raise the prices. Number three, CTAP is based on values. CTAP is based on the values of social solidarity, international cooperation, and shared responsibility, as noted by Dr. Tedros, Director General of the World Health Organization. We need to unleash the full power of science without caveats or restrictions to deliver innovations that are scalable, usable, and benefit everyone everywhere at the same time. Traditional market models will not deliver at the scale needed to cover the entire globe. Solidarity within and between countries and the private sector is essential if we are to overcome these difficult times. Similarly, President Carlos of Costa Rica stated, our proposal relies on solidarity. It is a solidarity call to action to member states, to academia, to companies, research institutions, and cooperation agencies, based on a global social responsibility on a voluntary basis, promoting more global, non exclusive voluntary licensing. So CTAP is important because it is based on values that are crucial in these tough times. On the other hand, the very opposite approach of vaccine nationalism is not based on these values. We will discuss it in these coming slides. Vaccine nationalism refers to my country first approach of some resourceful countries to secure priority access to doses of emerging COVID 19 vaccines for their populations through advance purchases or agreements. A handful of rich nations representing only 13% of the global population have already purchased more than half of the future promised supply of COVID 19 vaccines. And this is not the first time. It happened in 2009 in the case of H1N1 virus. They purchased all the available supplies, and other countries they had to wait longer than necessary. Such governments may be expected to ban exports of the future vaccines if and when manufactured by corporations based in their territory. So their approach is based on lack of cooperation, lack of solidarity, and lack of global collaboration. This me first, or you can say selfish approach, and it has several serious implications. I will discuss only four of them. Number one, it is a risky approach. Number two, it may damage international cooperation. Number three, it lacks moral justification. And number four, it lacks transparency. These are some of the most important issues with the approach of vaccine nationalism. We will discuss them one by one in the following slides. Number one, vaccine nationalism is a risky approach. Why it is risky? Given the considerably high failure rate of vaccine R&D, picking the right vaccine candidates for early stage bilateral procurement deals should be a concern, because you never know the vaccine you are hedging on, they can result in a failure. Countries that prefer a nationalistic approach are taking a huge gamble. In the worst case scenario, if none of the vaccine candidates secured under bilateral deals turns out to be viable, these countries are left with no options. On the other hand, countries that opt to join the WHO's COVAX facility, COVID 19 vaccine global access facility, hedge the risk of backing unsuccessful vaccine candidates by pooling risks, purchasing power, and financial and scientific resources. They will be in a position to insure themselves against the failure of any individual vaccine candidate and secure successful vaccines in a cost effective, targeted way. Number two, vaccine nationalism may damage international cooperation, which is very crucial in these tough times. Why it will damage international cooperation? If other countries, those countries they were deprived earlier, they were left out earlier, are eventually able to develop safer and more effective vaccines at a later stage, they may be expected to reciprocate by withholding supplies to those countries who denied them access to early vaccine. Vaccine nationalism will highlight the economic and social divide between low income and high income countries and the long standing inequality separating the global north and the global south. Aggrieved nations may try to find any form of leverage to express their resentment, which may include imposing limits or bans on exports of materials used in making vaccines, vials, and syringes. Such holding will Such holding of input supplies may cause supply chain disruptions. Number three, vaccine nationalism lacks moral justification. Vaccine nationalism is a selfish approach which carries ethical implications as it tends to deprive the most deserving high risk people, other countries to prioritize even the least urgent needs of wealthy nations. As noted by Graham Datfield, we invented it, therefore we should have it first. Arguments for priority are immoral and harmful to global public health. Ethical challenges started to surface in the very beginning of the pandemic when richer countries were reported to have offered a high market price to private manufacturers for testing equipment and face masks. Many countries chose to limit or ban the export of medical equipment like testing kits, personal protective equipment, and ventilators to preserve them for national use. Number four, vaccine nationalism lacks transparency. The opaque advance purchase deals have not fully disclosed the financial details and terms and conditions. It is unclear who will get access to the vaccines and at what price. Taxpayers need to know what criteria was used to prioritize certain vaccine candidates over others. What is the foreseeable or expected price of a vaccine dose, and to what extent it reflects contributions of publicly funded research? What safeguards have been included in the contracts to guarantee a payback or refund of if companies fail to meet volume commitments or in case of vaccine failures? What compensation is guaranteed to taxpayers if any of the pre-purchased vaccines has adverse effects? As these deals are shrouded in secrecy, it is still guesswork whether any of these concerns are addressed by these deals. Let's conclude this discussion. Universal access to the future COVID vaccine must be universal demand. More countries and organizations should support this demand for people's vaccine. More countries and organizations, including high income countries, should express their commitment to CTAP, which is crucial for materializing idea of people's vaccine. CTAP has not gained the attention, focus, and priority it deserves. It needs the support of all stakeholders. In addition to WHO, WIPO, and WTO, should also play their role in supporting CTAP by adopting a clear public health perspective to issues surrounding IP and technology transfer. Nationalistic approaches should be condemned. Now is the time for social solidarity and international collaboration. There is no room for prioritizing politics and profits over human lives and public health. Private monopolies on any element of COVID vaccine will limit supplies, raise prices, and cause preventable deaths. We should not let it happen if we want to be on the right side of history. That's it. That's all from my side. Now I will invite questions from your side. You need please unmute yourself before sharing any comments or asking any questions.
Hello, Dr. Sahir. Could you hear me?
Uh, I can't hear you properly.
I'm
Can you
not sure.
speak? Yeah, no, can I hear you? I can hear you.
Okay. Nice to meet you. I am Angela Costa. Do you remember that years ago we shared some experience on a pharmaceutical policies book that you edited?
Okay, it's good to have you. What's your
We work with Claudia Vargas on the pharmaceutical policies on the chapter of Colombia. So I want to ask you, it is so interesting to have the whole picture and the whole background of this CTAP initiative from Costa Rica also. But there are main doubts about that principles that you share with us. For example, transparency, the confidential agreements that could be made between the main
the rich nations
providers that finally could give the solution on treatments. And this is also a big concern in the vaccines issues about the COVAX initiative. What do you think about these main concerns? Because from CSOs, we have discussed this a lot. And still now we have many concerns about these two initiatives. Do you have any opinion about that?
Yeah, the main concern is lack of participation by the big powers like the United States and China and Russia. These three big powers, they are not part of any of the major initiative of the WHO. And that's a big concern, and that's a bit unfortunate because uh, even without these uh, even without participation of these initiatives, COVAX has made some progress. It has matured into a proper initiative, and this CTAP is it's a bit ignored initiative. WHO is not giving it the importance or the attention it deserves. There are no policy briefings, public briefings, media briefings on regular basis on this initiative, and still less than 40 countries support this initiative. On the other hand, COVAX, it got more attention, and it has support of 156 nations, including 64 high-income countries. So when the major high-income countries, they start supporting these initiatives, there will be more substantial results, there will be more progress, but it is unfortunate that these countries, they have stayed out of these initiatives, especially the US. They froze funding for the WHO. They decided to withdraw from WHO at a very critical moment when WHO needed both financial and political support from big powers. So uh, there is no uh, quick solution to this problem, uh, but it's a matter of understanding that we need to collaborate and we need to show shared responsibility. We need to give importance to the values which we need in times of crisis. And the big nations, big powers, they need to understand the importance of those values. Thank you. Okay, my time is over and I'm going to stop this session. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.